Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you?
Buenos días, distinguidos invitados y delegados. Bienvenidos a Uruguay, bienvenidos al Festival de Datos.
For Spanish speakers, please, bienvenidos a Uruguay, bienvenidos a Punta del Este. Welcome to Punta del Este. Bienvenidos a mi país. Es un gran honor estar aquí. So if some of you need any translation devices, please, you can grab them at the main entrance, English, Spanish, Spanish, English, so you can have them there. So we are so honored to have you all here today as we gather to celebrate advances in data and development and pave the way towards a sustainable future. My name is Sofía Rodríguez. Today, I am going to be your host. I'm a Uruguayan journalist. I'm a bit nervous, so that's nice to say. I'll be your host today, and for me, it's a great honor to be here to represent my country. It's a great challenge, which I embrace with huge responsibility. In Spanish, we would say, es un gran honor recibirlos aquí en mi país. Estoy muy orgullosa de que este festival se esté organizando aquí.
In Spanish, I would say that I'm very honored to be here and to be hosting this.
We have a really nice day today. So I can say that these last few days for me, they were like of excitement, anxiety, because, you know, it's been like 24 years since I've been here standing, speaking in English in this great audience, and I was like, it's been since I left college, since I addressed a great audience like you. And I was thinking, so if I make a mistake, so many intelligent people, statisticians, word that I've been like driving in my car, practicing through 2 weeks, statisticians, but now I've learned it, so hopefully, I'm not going to make a mistake. And, you know, it's, as I said, a huge, huge honor. We are here today because this festival recognizes the urgent need for rapid innovations in technology and efficient data collection, access, and use to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. It also acknowledges the inherent challenges and tensions surrounding power dynamics, privacy concerns, and inclusive participation in the data revolution. Our goal for this festival is to empower data communities and enhance our collective capacity to harness the potential value of data and for all individuals and society. By fostering collaboration and knowledge sharing, we aim to facilitate the achievement of Agenda 2030, a global action plan for sustainable development. So today, we have a remarkable gathering of 550 delegates from 93 countries in this room, and many more watching remotely. Together, we have the opportunity to make a difference. So, if it's okay with you, let's have some huge applause for this amazing turnout. May I ask some of you to raise your hand if you speak in English? English native speakers? Oh, nearly everyone. Spanish native speakers? It's like maybe 40, 60, 60, 40, 70, 30, more or less, 70, 30. Statisticians, please. You've seen that? Okay. So now we will proceed to the high-level section of our open ceremony. So please join me in welcoming to the stage our esteemed guests. In first place, Claire Melamed, CEO of the Global Partnership. The Global Partnership for Sustainable Development Data is a global network of 700 partners organizations. Hi, Claire. Good morning. Please welcome Diego Aboal, director del Instituto Nacional de Estadísticas de Uruguay, Director of Statistics at the National Institute of Uruguay. And a huge applause. You know, I was talking to Diego before, and I told him I have my radio show, and now it's going in Montevideo. And we are waiting for this incredible census. Since 2011, we don't have a census here in Uruguay. So we don't know how many inhabitants we have. So it's like 3.5 million, 3.2 million, 3.3 million, 3.8 million. So we don't know what is going on, and we are so anxious to have those results because for us it's really, really important. Good decisions require good information, so we're waiting for that. And let's please welcome Isaac Alfi, Director de la Oficina de Planeamiento y Presupuesto, Director of the Office of Budget and Planning, with us. So in the first place, let me call Claire to the podium to open the festival on behalf of the Global Partnership.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, everybody. My goodness, looking out, we really did it. It's actually happening. Thank you all for being here. And thank you especially to the government of Uruguay and to the 40 partner organizations. I know many of you are here in the room that helped shape this festival and bring all of the amazing content that we're going to be seeing over the next 2.5 days. We've absolutely loved working with you all. Partnership is what we do. It's in the DNA of the Global Partnership, but organizing an event like this with such a wonderful group is always a really special experience. It's been a complete joy from start to finish. Special thanks, of course, to the INE team, led so beautifully by Diego, and to the Uruguay cross-government task team, including, of course, AGISIC and Antel, and also the very small but very mighty team of immigration and MFA colleagues that facilitated those people from the 93 countries getting here. As we know, no easy task. Thank you also, of course, to all of our supporters whose financial contributions have made this festival possible. And especially I would like to thank colleagues who are in the room from the Hewlett Foundation and from the UK's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, both of whom believe in the Global Partnership's mission and provide us with valuable support and expertise. We welcome everybody in the room to celebrate through the power of our words all day, but we also want you to celebrate through the power of your feet at the Power of Data dinner tomorrow night at Posto Cinco, where there will be dancing. We were so glad to be able to work with Uruguay on this festival. It's an inspirational country. It's a stable democracy. It has a government that has really embraced data innovation, becoming a knowledge economy, leading the way on unlocking private data for good, and of course, in the process, attracting international data innovators, such as the Microsoft AI Lab that we're going to hear from on Thursday, and investing heavily in the digital infrastructure which underpins so much of this progress. I think we're all very aware through the news, through the social media that we follow, that despite great progress, the global challenges to meeting the Sustainable Development Goals are very stark. We're here today, sitting in this comfortable room in this lovely country, but very aware of conflicts raging around the world and of the terrible price that all too many civilians are paying. And we think of our colleagues and our friends who are collecting the data that bears witness to suffering and to death, and of the people, some of them in this room, who are using that data to tell the world about what is happening. But we must also remember that data is part of building the better world that we all want to see. That data is the power behind good policy and good decisions that make lives better. That it's the power behind digital transformation that accelerates change, that leverages the power of new technologies, and that it is the power behind the economic growth that changes lives. And I'm very proud and honored and excited today to be in a room full of people committed to that brighter future that we all want to see. I welcome all of you, including more than 50 national governments here in the room, many city governments, grassroots civil society organizations, multilaterals, academics, youth, private sector. I imagine that some of those categories are overlapping. And we also congratulate the United Nations Datathon, recently finished in Montevideo, and the Abre Latam con Datos organizers. And we've been so happy and lucky to see this cross-pollination of ideas and talents in what's been several weeks of data in the country of Uruguay. I'm really looking forward to the more than 75 sessions that we're going to be unrolling in front of us over the next few days, some of which happened yesterday. We got in a bit early. And now, to get us off to a great start, I want to introduce a few words from the Global Partnership's co-convener, United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed.
His Excellency, President Luis Lacalle Pou, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to address you on the first day of the Global Festival de Datos. I thank the Government of Uruguay and the Information and Knowledge Society, who, together with the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development Data, organized the festival. Today, you are joined by representatives of more than 80 countries, partners from the UN, civil society, academia, and the private sector. I'm especially heartened by the strong youth representation. Young people must be front and center of solutions to our local, national, and global challenges. The festival follows last month's milestone SDG summit, which marked the midpoint of the 2030 Agenda and Sustainable Development Goals. The summit broke new ground in calling for an SDG stimulus to finance a sustainable future and showcased a series of high-impact initiatives demonstrating pathways to SDG progress. The Power of Data is one such initiative. It aims to mobilize political leadership and much-needed funding to unlock a powerful data dividend. By investing in data systems, fostering innovation, and forging strategic partnerships, we can modernize decision-making and accelerate the digital transformation. This creates economic opportunities for a more inclusive and sustainable world. It also helps us anticipate, prevent, and respond to the complex challenges we face, including climate change, while leaving no one behind. Simply put, better data is the fuel that powers progress across all the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm glad that many of the countries that have already committed to national data partnerships are meeting at the festival to build on this momentum, supported by colleagues from across the UN system and the Global Partnership. We must continue to galvanize the efforts of stakeholders driving the data revolution, and together demonstrate that strengthening data availability, transparency, and financing is vital to achieving the SDGs. We also hope you will join us next year in Medellin, Colombia, as we continue to move this agenda forward at the 5th UN World Data Forum. Thank you.
Thank you to Amina, who's been such a wonderful champion of this agenda and such a friend to all of us in this room. Now back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire. Now let's invite Mr. Diego Agual to the podium for his first impressions.
Buenos días. Sí, está bien. Buenos días.
Good morning.
We are very happy to have you all here. Welcome to the Festival de Datos. It's really an honor for us and a privilege for the National Institute of Statistics of Uruguay to co-organize this event alongside the Global Partnership. Today, more than 500 delegates from 93 countries are meeting in Punta del Este. Thank you, Claire and team, for choosing Uruguay as a host country. We are very happy to have these 3 days of working and exchange here. Thank you also to the local organizing committee for all the hard work leading to this event, to Federico Segui, the Deputy Director General of INE, that he has worked very hard to have everything ready for these 3 days. So thank you for your work. Rapid innovations in technology and timely data collection, access, and use are needed to meet the Sustainable Development Goals. Yet, the data revolution also raises fundamental tensions around power, privacy, and participation. We are very happy to host the Festival de Datos that will discuss these topics and aims to strengthen data communities and our collective ability to unlock the value of data for all of us as we strive to achieve the Agenda 2030. The National Institute of Statistics of Uruguay is a leader in the Latin American region in the use of administrative registers and new sources of data to produce statistics and for decision-making. We understand our role not only as a producer of statistics, but also as a data steward. In that role, we integrate data, we make it available in a secure environment for research, decision-making, and policy evaluation. We are also finishing a very innovative and successful 2023 census, where 60% of the respondents used a self-administered web questionnaire to answer the census. This is an all-time record in Latin America and the Caribbean. We hope our institute can be seen as a gate for data innovation in the region, and we are ready to play this role. Still, taking this great opportunity that we have during these days, what we want is to learn from you all. This is why we are so excited about the Festival de Datos and the next 3 days of interactions, learning, and sharing. And of course, we will and we must have fun while doing this. I hope you can take the most of it, and please enjoy Uruguay and welcome again. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego Aoal. Now, please, Mr. Isaac Alfi, we would like to hear some words from you.
Thank you for everybody to stay here. I apologize, but I'm going to speak in Spanish. Sean, welcome to everybody. Bienvenidos a todos. Sean todos.
Welcome, everybody. Sejam todos bem-vindos. It's a great honor for us to receive you all here. Having you visit us, we feel honored, receiving so many delegates from so many countries, from so many different cultures, different social realities, but everybody sharing the same objectives. We are clearly very pleased to be co-hosting this data festival with the Global Partnership. And today we are here because we share an objective, a mission, a vision, and on doing so, we agreed to work together to achieve those objectives based on principles and shared rights. The world is changing, clearly. The progress of science and the computing capacity have developed new technologies in all settings. Artificial intelligence, communications in real time may help the countries and therefore people, the inhabitants of the countries, the citizens, if they are well used. The computing capacity has been an extraordinary key instrument for developing biology, both in plants and human, and the breakthroughs can be used, again, for good things or bad things. There are too many words today still on artificial intelligence, and the actions are still not too frequent. Machine learning and real-time data to build knowledge societies need actions. They need actions in the field of education because the new generations are going to incorporate it better, but unless you have enough education, unless you have a sound education, there's going to be a very significant social impact, bad impact, creating a gap between those who know how to use the data and those who don't. And I hope that this high-level meeting that you are opening today may be an important step to improve the lives in your countries and to start that may continue to improve the quality of data, to improve the surroundings in each country. My country, Uruguay, is very proud of the society we're developing. Of course, there are always things that you need to improve. There are always things that are not exactly right, but we have a democratic society with a democratic vision, with a great support for democracy, with full and mature institutions, and strictly abiding by international law. Our people have a great love and understand freedom, and they believe in transparency and accountability of their rulers. Of course, it's because of transparency and accountability for some things that Claire mentioned, privacy and personal data, that we also have to be present there in the field of the use of data and new technologies. Diego Aboal mentioned the commitment of a country in a census, and finally we can say that we are proud of it because of the high response rates given the high connectivity in the country. Our economy has recovered after the pandemic, has even gone further, surpassing the previous levels, and especially we have improved the employment rates. Today we're investing in infrastructure, including, of course, data infrastructure, historical levels of foreign investment, and financial stability that is significant. The pandemic reminded us that for good or for bad, for evil, the international society and community must cooperate. And in what refers to data and technology, that's no exception. I would even say that it is precisely in that area that during the pandemic we could appreciate how the different research centers and people developing and exchanging information gave a response to mankind much faster than any other response in the previous history of mankind. It is true that there are people that can use the breakthroughs of technology to create conflict and disagreement and misinformation, to produce evil. So there are also values that need to be applied when using the data. The values of democracy in the Republic, the values of peace are not changed. They are essential human rights. And of course, here we have the authorities, the governments, the ruling administrations in democratic societies, but also civil society, the media, the private sector, and the academia that need to promote the responsible and transparent use of data. The shared objective is people's growth, economic growth, promoted or driven by this new knowledge economy. Let me finish by thanking the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations for her message, and I welcome the many, many officials of the UN agencies that are present here. Uruguay is very happy to receive you in this high-level meeting, and Uruguay is part of the integrated power of data in the recent UN General Assembly, and we are part of the National Association of Data that cooperates with this shared effort. Of course, the country as a whole is also committed with sustainability in environmental matters. As a matter of fact, Uruguay was the first country to issue bonds with environmental targets, symmetric. And precisely yesterday, that those bonds were expanded and reopened with a very vast demand. More than 2 decades ago, in the turn of the century, Uruguay issued a claim. Uruguay Natural is not just a claim, it's not just a slogan, it's a way we see things. And you, coming from abroad, when you came to this beautiful city, and a city that you can go anywhere or go elsewhere in the countries, and you'll see what we mean by Uruguay Natural, natural Uruguay. The economy and the environment are, of course, very closely linked. I know that this community is very active in making the most of data, satellite data, open data that also have an impact if we want to study climate change phenomena or to make resilient cities, to be prepared in the case of climate-related contingencies. I've been told that tomorrow there will be a plenary session giving power to the young. I warmly want to thank those young people and those 40 Uruguayan young that will Ceibal and UNICEF. Today we are opening many new innovations, but the closure of this festival won't be the end of it. Uruguay expects to continue to collaborate, promoting regional and global development. I would like to finish by wishing you very fruitful debates and discussions, and please also enjoy your stay in our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac Alfi, Mr. Diego Abal. So now, Claire, I now give the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Sophia.
Let me see if we have...
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, there.
Excellent. For anyone who's speaking next, there's a little switch on the microphone. So your job is not quite finished yet, Isaac and Diego. We wanted to just explore some of the things that you said a little bit further. And firstly, Isaac, I was very struck in your remarks, and I think the team have been, as we've been working so closely with you over these last months, about particularly, you mentioned the incredibly high rates of connectivity in this country and the way that the government and the citizens have embraced technology. And of course, that is partly the product of decisions that have been made by governments over the years, and particularly decisions to invest, to spend money on connectivity, on technology. There are many people in the room who will be looking at this with some envy and wishing that they could get their governments also to invest in technology and in data. So what's your advice to them? How can we persuade more governments to make the choice about investing in technology, investing in data, with all the benefits that that brings?
Well, thank you for your question. To tell you the truth, when you analyze the social return rate of investments of this kind, the rate is very high. The speed of communications, we don't realize it. But at the end, we don't even realize the time we're saving. We don't realize how much well-being we gain because we are leaving some idle time for other activities. We are having idle time for our family, for sports, for friends. But beyond all that, if you look at it purely economically, if the country does not invest in technologies like this, if a country does not invest in data processing and communications, well, you fall behind, and you're lagging behind more and more. And I think that the census was an additional proof, but not just the census, because the country in recent years has developed a plan for improving all its statistics, where the use of technology, the use of connectivity for collecting data, not just administrative data, but of businesses, enterprises, and for pricing, for knowing the wages and seeing the volume of transactions, and from public agencies, as Director Aboad says, and the administrative registers. It's been very intensive, and that has been thanks to our investment in technology, because increasingly data are heavier and heavier. You have to invest more, you have to improve technology, bands, spectra, radioelectric transmissions, etc. Not only does the public sector do it in Uruguay, but also the private sector.
Muchas gracias.
To follow up on your point about the private sector, obviously, you know, we have many private sector representatives here today. We've been working with some of the Uruguayan companies in organizing the festival. How specifically, we're going to be talking a lot about partnerships over the next few days, and we all know that it's easy to say, but quite hard to do. So what advice would you give, again, to others about drawing from Uruguay's successes on really how the public and private sectors can work effectively together to generate some of these outcomes, to really make the most of the technology that's available?
Bueno, en países como Uruguay.
Well, in countries like Uruguay, we would say that in terms of population, we are rather small. Clearly, the collaboration and agreements for the use of technology, shared use, are, well, I won't say the only way, but it's the most efficient way we can use the resources available and move forward. Moving away from duplicating infrastructure, it doesn't make sense. And very often, somebody builds the infrastructure and somebody else leases it with an agreement. So for small countries, this works. In other countries, clearly, there may be open competition because the population is large enough, so there's a significant demand. So there's room for many different actors that can work independently, the private and the public sector. But the important thing here is to allow for competition, because competition ends up improving the well-being of consumers, that is, of all of us.
Thank you so much, Isaac. And thank you also from your huge contributions that you make as a member of our Global Partnership Board. We really appreciate that. Diego, many congratulations on the census, first of all. You talked, you spoke just now about the importance of accessing and sharing some of the more non-traditional data sources. We're going to be hearing a lot about that in the next few days. There's lots of people in the room for whom that's really kind of what they do all day. And we know from you, we know from others in the room that there is increasing appetite for this kind of data, for non-traditional sources from other parts of government. In your experience, what are the types of new data sources that really people want the most, that can help statisticians the most to provide the information that you need to offer to Isaac and to others in government?
Thank you, Claire. First of all, I think it's important the change of the mindset of the National Institute of Statistics from mere producers of statistics to have a data steward role, where it's very important to have integrated systems of statistical registers, surveys, and also censuses. So we have to see this as an integrated system, and first of all, I think it's important to use the administrative registers that are available in most of our ministries and other institutions, and not only to produce statistics, but also to facilitate the decision making and also to the evaluation of the public policy. I think this is very important, and I think this is the role that we are trying to provide, and the data that we like to provide in the future. Also, of course, the data coming from the private sector could be very important. For example, data coming from the telecoms to analyze mobility, for example. This data is very useful. In fact, we will be discussing some examples during the next 3 days of this kind of data in Uruguay.
Thank you so much. So I think that's been such an interesting snapshot of the way that the data system works here, that the way that policy and politics, statistics, and the private sector are interacting to create the data ecosystem here in Uruguay. And I really look forward to learning more about that and to hearing the interactions as you share experiences with others and as we all build our understanding over the next few days. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Please give them a round of applause.
A final message. Let me say a final message.
See, come on.
Very, very short.
Yes, no, come on.
For all of you,
We have time.
for all of statisticians, remember, I'm going to say you in Spanish.
Remember, what cannot be measured cannot be assessed or evaluated. And if you can't assess something, you can't improve it. That is, in a nutshell, the importance of having good data and being able to check them and compare them.
This warm applause for our guests. Now we invite them to go to their seats. Thank you for your words. So interesting. And now we need to move on. So everybody's okay? Yes? You're like down? No, come on. Is everybody okay here? Now, okay. We need to move on. We will now proceed to some leading figures of the global partnership with representatives from NGOs and government. Please welcome Jennifer Oldfield, Senior Director of External Relations from the Global Partnership, and her guest panels. An applause for Jennifer, please. Jenny, come on. Then we also receive Aidan Aikuse. I'm sorry if that's not okay spelled. It was really hard for me. He's the Executive Director of Twaweza East Africa, and Samuel Anim, the National Statistician of Ghana. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sophia, and another round of applause for Sophia, who's doing a great job despite not doing English since college.
You're so nice,
Certainly
Jenny.
better than my Spanish. Thank you. Welcome to my panelists. So I'm going to start with a question for Aidan. Aidan, people didn't used to care about data, and now they do. Is your job done? Can we pack up and go home?
Yeah, we can go home now. If our ambition is really, really, really small, we can go home. So people care about data now, but it's not enough. I think our ambition is so much bigger than caring about the ingredients of the things that we're working with all the time. Imagine if, at the dawn of humanity, we domesticated fire and said, we have reached the pinnacle of civilization, just because we have fire. The value of fire comes in its applications, and the applications of heat. You know, to cook nice food, to ward off the enemy, to warm your house. It's the applications of fire in the form of heat that's important. I think for me also, data is an ingredient, but that ingredient needs to be processed into information. So it's not enough to just have data points. When you connect them, they will give you a picture, and that picture is information. It's a bit like a buffet meal. So you have your ingredients, you have your vegetables, you create this buffet meal, but you don't just create a meal to look at it and say, I'm a great cook. If you're hungry, you need to eat, right? And so information is also the reduction of uncertainty. That was a definition I got from a textbook I had to read when I was doing my master's in economics. Information is the reduction of uncertainty, and this information helps us also deal with the problems that we're facing as a species, as humanity at this point of time. Reducing uncertainty, using information to reduce poverty, for example, to reduce hunger, specifically to reduce exclusion. There's so many people who are just not in the numbers. So we can care about the numbers, but if we don't care about the people who are not represented by those numbers, then we're missing a trick. I was talking to the Humanitarian Open Mapping team outside, HOT. I really like that acronym. They're HOT. But I was struck by the work that they're doing in trying to put a name to the billions of people who are not accessing public services because they don't exist in administrative data. The lady gave me an example of Zambia, where they were apparently the Zambian government was saying, here, there are no people here. When HOT looked, they found 750,000 people. 750,000 people were just not in the data. So we have to care more than just about the data and into the numbers. So we've gone from sort of a niche idea into mainstream as an idea of data. But I think the application of data to address the many challenges that we're facing is very important. And we here, as GPSDD, as Festival de Datos, thinking and talking about the Sustainable Development Goals. The summit that just happened in New York in September said that we've only achieved 15%, 15% of the SDGs. If you are students in here and we're halfway through your course and you only know 15% of the material, I'd give you a big fat 0. Is that how we are judging ourselves as humanity? A big fat 0 on the SDGs? No. We have got to do much better than that. That's why the ambition has got to be so important. So let me just stop waffling and say a few things. I think we need to mainstream not just data, but inclusion, and especially the dignified representation in the numbers of us as people. And for me, I'm going to put a plug here for citizen-generated data. I want to thank very much Diego. I don't know if he's still here. He may have gone, the head of the statistics office. Hello. You know, when you say the National Statistics Office is a data steward, that's like music to my ears, because many NSOs are gatekeepers, guards at the gate. This data, yes, we like it because it tells a story that we like. This data we don't like because it's from civil society and it is painting a negative picture of what we're trying to do. Keep that one out. We'll find some technical reason for keeping it out. I like the way Uruguay is doing it, and I think Colombia and Kenya are really embracing citizen-generated data in interesting ways, and we hope we can infect the other NSOs to do similar work. It's really important that we see ourselves in the data, in how we're living our own experiences. But I think there are other two challenges that I hope we will talk about here. One was mentioned, and I mentioned towards the end. But you know, as human beings in this data universe, we're leaving a lot of data behind us as we walk through the digital space. We're leaving a lot of digital footprints. And there are other people, big tech, who are harvesting these digital footprints and turning it into commercialized or commodification of us as human beings. Let us think about what that means. If we're not going to be the subject, the object of all of this development, let's at least not be a commodity. How do we take back ownership of the data footprints we leave behind when we are engaging in this data, in the digital world? And the final one is the dangers of algorithmic decision making. If we create all of these numbers, all of this data, it's being fed into machines, and those machines are making decisions about us, whether we get loans, whether we get insurance, health insurance, and the premium that we pay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let us be very conscious about how artificial intelligence is hoovering up all of this data that we're producing and giving it back out to us in terms of decisions that we may or may not be able to be in control with. So applications. Let's make sure that the data applications are aligned with and reflect our most basic and fundamental human values. Let's make sure that fire we have domesticated actually does good things and that it doesn't burn us.
Thank you, Aidan. I really loved your passionate answer. Round of applause for Aidan. And I love that analogy too, you know, about mastering fire. So really we're only just getting going and we know it. And that leads me on to Professor Enim. You're not only the National Statistician of Ghana, but you also co-chair the high-level group on partnerships, coordination, and capacity building. So as a group of statisticians, is your job getting easier or harder given what Aidan just said, the increasing opportunities, but also the increasing risks? Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Let me correct something before I go on to the question. Aidan did indicate countries that have adopted CGD, citizen science, but he forgot to mention that Kenya is actually learning from Ghana. So definitely Ghana is part of the list. Thank you, colleagues. Jenny, the question really begs the question whether what has brought us here with this partnership, we are really pursuing it or not. And I want to say that it is definitely not getting harder. The key question is that it is getting exciting. And it's not getting softer at the same time because there is the realization that we need to ensure we catch up with the fast changing events that are happening globally and also do it in a manner that would make data more relevant. Let me just highlight 4 perspectives from which I think the global changes warrant some reflection on what makes data more relevant. All of us are here because of the SDGs, so that is the first pillar that we want to think about, that is achieving the SDGs. But there are 3 other pillars that I want us to reflect on. One has to do with what we've heard this morning very increasingly, which is the creation or creating of digital economies. The second one has to do with the inclusiveness of growth, which is CGD coming on board. And the third one, which has to do with our preparedness for the pandemic. These 3 things evolved post the SDGs, and in my mind, they are making national statistical offices, and for that matter, global statistical organizations, look at their approaches differently. 3 things that we are doing globally and at some statistical offices are that we are moving strongly away from the data production side and thinking about 3 things. Ideas, which is where artificial intelligence comes on board. The second one, which is partnership, which is for which reason we all have gathered under the umbrella of GPS DD. And the third thing is what I'm going to talk about is retooling our activities, that is national statistical offices, in a manner that we can really transform lives. Let me share with you some examples of what we are doing globally and at the national level as far as our work of statistics is concerned. Those of us with national statistical offices, we've been working with the fundamental principles of official statistics. But the first example is, anytime we think about leave no one behind, we are questioning the concept of representativity that questions official statistics. Anytime we are thinking about inclusive growth, we are thinking about changing the narrative of statistics as an output into an input. And Aidan, thank you for making that point. With the creation of digital economies, every step that we make, we leave behind data. And that is why we need to move away from statistics as an output and think about statistics as an input. When I joined the National Statistical Office 5 years ago, the first thing that I was told as somebody coming from the classroom is never think about forecasting as a statistician. But what do we see now? Now, because we are all preparing for pandemics, we see some national statistical offices, including Ghana Statistical Service, thinking about what they are calling now nowcasting. So we've just changed the word from forecasting and we're calling it nowcasting. So the work of statistical offices really is going through some evolutions. I think the reason why we are gathered here under the GPSDD is asking ourselves that basic question. How are we setting up the partnership and how are we going to measure the partnership going forward? My conversations with GPSDD has always been on the issue of measurement. And let's think about the artificial intelligence again, as Aidan indicated. I operationalize it in a very simple way. 3 things that AI should do for us. Its ability to connect technology. We've seen advancement in technology. So AI, if we want to think about it very well, is not about the production of statistics, but its ability to very well connect technology with the second component, political will and commitment, and its ability to connect it to the third component, which has to do with transformation of livelihoods. If 5 years' time we've not been able to answer the question whether AI has seamlessly connected these 3 pillars, That is advancement in technology, political will and commitment, and sustainable transformation of lives, then we are falling short of why we are now talking about AI. The Power of Data initiative that was talked about yesterday and as was launched in September in New York calls for action. It is apt, but what we need to do in the next few days is to have clarity in our minds of how to operationalize it, and I believe that in the next 3 days we're going to get that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So just to wrap up, since we are, as you said, a community that believes in evaluation, what is the one question that everyone can be asking themselves at the end of this festival to really set themselves up for success in 2024? First to you, Prof. Hanem. Thanks.
Pretty straightforward. Who is setting the agenda now? The agenda of data production, the agenda of data analytics, the agenda of data use, and the agenda of data dissemination. I think it is us. And in the next 3 days, I hope all of us can have clarity in our mind. That simple question, who is setting the agenda? Thank you.
Thank you. And you, Aidan? Question.
Mine is a very personal one, and it's inspired by a book I read, which some of you may have read, called Life 3.0. And the question is this: how can I be more human in an age of artificial intelligence? And that humanity isn't just the atomistic me, but in my relationship with other human beings and other life on the planet. How can we be more human, more compassionate in an age sometimes of cold, hard, logical artificial intelligence?
Those are some great questions, very practical and very existential for a Tuesday morning. So we're going to watch a video about the power of data that Professor Hanem just mentioned, but first a round of applause for our panel. Thank you.
Data is the fuel that powers progress. Good data means better lives, a healthier planet, and thriving economies. In Kenya, car accidents were prevented and lives saved when data helped target scarce resources on 150 kilometers of Nairobi's riskiest roads. Analysis of satellite images helped rescue a herd of rare giraffes. In Bangladesh, data on maternal mortality led to the creation of programs that reduced deaths by 20%. In Uganda, crowdsourced SMS data helped prevent $15 million in losses from banana wilt. In Sierra Leone, data meant schools could be built in districts with the highest teen pregnancy rates, meaning that more girls were still able to attend school. In Brazil, crowdsourced data and satellite imagery are supporting the fight back on illicit logging. Powerful national data partnerships are the engines that will revolutionize decision-making, accelerate digital transformation, and drive new economic opportunities, saving millions of lives. Every dollar invested in data systems creates an average return of $32. It's time to unlock the data dividend.
Okay, that was really interesting. Now, thank all our guests. So we have explored the power of data, but now we would like to hear about all you here in this room. Are you ready for this today? Are you ready to start this Festival de Datos? Yes, really? So I don't hear you correctly, but someone will hear you. So let me please welcome Philip Schonrock, CEO of CEPEI from Colombia, as he takes the stage. Applause, please.
Well, good morning, Sophia.
Good morning.
Dias. Sophia, do you know why I'm actually up here?
More or less.
Well, I'm asking the same question to myself at this very moment. Because, Sophia, we have heard from data poets like Aidan. We have heard from the brain trust of Professor Sam. We have heard from our host, but we have not heard from our guest.
Really.
So this is what we
They're
actually
shy,
would like
you know?
to know a little bit more
They're
about.
like shy.
Yes, well, you mentioned we are waiting for a census here in Uruguay, so
Yes.
how can we not ask our audience a little bit more about their experience, about why they are actually here? And I asked the organizers, why should I actually ask these questions? And the answer was very straightforward. Well, you have been here from the beginning, and you're one of the very few that have been in all data festivals. So I came back to the hotel yesterday, and I went into the elevator and looked at the mirror, and I said, well, if I have been to all data festivals, there are two reasons. I'm getting old,
No, come on.
or I know what it takes to actually organize a Festival de
Okay.
Datos like this one. And I believe that second one makes me actually a point why I'm here asking you some questions, because it takes a lot of time to actually organize an event like that, and a lot of effort and a lot of heart as well. And it takes you a quite long time, Sophia, to get to Uruguay, actually.
I know.
And that was the first question we will ask, because yesterday I saw Sam at the airport. And the first thing he did was actually smile. I said, there's no way in life that somebody that 30 hours before was sitting on Lombardi Beach in Accra thinking about the Black Stars has to go to an airplane from Accra to Amsterdam, to Peru, to Montevideo. So this is actually the question we would like to ask you to stand up, all of those of you that actually took longer than 1 day coming to Uruguay. Please stand up. More than 1 day. Okay, Sophia, I think we have a good crowd to get the party going tomorrow because they have to move. Very well, thank you very much.
You know, here we say, lo bueno se hace esperar.
Yeah, well,
Good things make you wait, so come on.
well, we will see that about the Uruguayan wine tonight, if that's true or not.
Very good.
But we have a second question. Since we are in Uruguay, we would like to know actually how many Uruguayans are here, because it took you less than 1 hour to get here. How many of you are here from Uruguay? ¿Cuántos de Uruguay tenemos acá? Nuestros hosts, sí, por
Párense,
favor.
a ver.
Wow.
Bien. Qué grande.
Great.
So, Sophia,
Yes.
now I need your help, because we need to ask our audience what they actually came here to do. It's still chilly, so going into the ocean wouldn't be a good idea. That could be the next question. Ask them how many brought a bathing suit and will not go into the ocean.
No, yes, we do. It's like 30 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, it is.
Or 28, I don't know.
Okay.
You know, our sea, it's a bit cold,
Yeah,
but
a
it's
bit.
really good for your health, so don't worry.
All right, well,
Yeah,
then
come
we
on.
can hopefully have some volunteers, but we have 2 mics, and we need 2 volunteers to tell us why you are actually here and what you want to get out. We already got 2 good answers from Sam and Aiden. Now we need it from you. And I actually have the possibility, because I asked, if nobody stands up, what do we actually do? Well, we find a volunteer. So you find a volunteer on this side, I will do it on that side, in order to find 2 people that tell us why you're here and what are the expectations. We already have 1 candidate, 2? No, they just left. So we need somebody, please. You go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Yazid Salahuddin Mikael from Nigeria, and I'm one of the data values advocate. It took me 2 days to come here. Yeah, I was literally the first person to stood up when they asked that question. I'm here as a young person who works around data. I have the hands-on technical skills of working around data, and I have the humanitarian part because I've worked with people from different communities, rural and marginalized communities in Nigeria, around how they are being represented in data and how hugely our government is investing in open and responsive data system, the responsiveness part. So I'm here to learn, most importantly, speak for those communities I'm representing, and share my experience because I would also be co-facilitating a session on the night on artificial intelligence, the opportunities and the threat. And I'm also here to collaborate with people from different parts of the world to learn from their best practices and the things they're doing, and to also listen to experts in the field talk and share their experience. Already I'm inspired by Mr. Aiden and the professor from Ghana who share their experience on citizen-generated data, and Diego, of course. And I look forward to more interesting sessions like this. I have my pen and book on my labs already and taking note and recording just so I don't miss anything. And that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Well, and we have a second person that will introduce themselves, please.
Oh, hello everyone. I'm from Brazil. I didn't make 2 days or 1 day to go here. A couple of hours. I think different than some people here, I'm not from government. I'm actually representing an NGO from Brazil that we make public data accessible to everyone. So hopefully, I hope to learn a lot with other initiatives from other countries and from all kind of places in the world, and also to share a lot about our experience in Brazil and to fight for more equitable and more open data to produce those kind of statistics and those kind of develop that we need to address. That's it. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. We have another speaker. One more?
One
Yeah,
more.
very quickly. Hi, everyone. My name is Soyla Leiva. I'm here with 2 colleagues representing the WHO Hub for Pandemic and Intelligence. We're here very interested in meeting different files of people working with data, especially for public health emergencies. And I personally am very interested in connecting with people in Latin America working with data for health purposes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wonderful, Sophia. So my time actually is up. It says 0 over here. And
but I have a question for you. Please don't go.
no, I will stay. No problem.
Have you heard some like this? Look.
I liked it, but
Have you heard
what's
it?
happening? I mean, they're still sleeping or?
No, it's not for that. It's like music.
It is, yes.
I know I'm really bad at it.
Me
I'm
too,
sorry.
Should I try?
You try. Maybe you can try.
Maybe you can help us, yeah.
Oh my God, you're really good. Okay. What we are hearing is candombe.
That's true, yeah.
Yes, that sound in our head, in Uruguayan's head, it's really so nice to hear. And as a welcome gesture, we had decided to share with you a local dance called candombe. Now, candombe is a given name to many different Uruguayan dances of African origin. We can even trace it back to a group of 20 Africans who were brought as slaves to this part of the southern corn. Each of these individuals had their own language, their own culture, and ways of perceiving the world which they put into music. Their dances and songs covered the entire spectrum of human life, from the sacred to the profane, from the festive to the mournful. Candombe really quickly became the most important dance of African communities in Uruguay, and today it's one of our country's most essential music expressions. At times, this dance has been repressed, but instead of disappearing, it has flourished. Not only is candombe an indispensable part of Uruguayan's heritage, but UNESCO has recognized it as an official part of the world's heritage as well. It's one of Uruguayan's gifts to civilization. So today, we have invited the most popular candombe group to perform for you all. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome La Mansa. So we can stand up and dance a bit. Come on, that won't hurt. Come on, Jenny. I know it looks difficult, but it's really don't. Just go with the flow, with the music. Stand up. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Don't be shy. Come on. You don't have to dance if you don't want, but some energy. Yes. Now I like it. ceremony. We want to thank you all for your presence, your contribution. I'll invite you to follow the dancers and have a nice coffee break. Meet your colleagues, meet your friends, and afterwards you can follow your agendas. Once again, thank you very much for being here. I hope you have a great and enlightening festival throughout the event. Gracias por todo. Bienvenidos a Uruguay. Gracias.